Okay, so we got a CPI report coming out tomorrow, July 15th. I believe it comes out an hour before the market opens in the US. So, with that being said, we're going to talk about Mara. We're going to talk about Bitcoin, what's going on, how I am influencing the trades. And I did say that I will show you guys an update on the Mara chart because I wasn't feeling too confident. I felt like I needed an update, and I have that here for you guys. And I'm going to go over the position for BitU that I've been talking about recently. And here it is. Currently, the position overall is up $11,103 and $11,103.83 as of US market close. Post market is probably down a little bit right now, but I sort of anticipated this, and I also said I am going to do something with the position. I'm going to go over exactly what I am planning to do with it and what I did today, which technically I didn't do anything, but I'm going to get into that. I'm going to give you guys some context. But yeah, CPI report coming out real soon, and a big indicator on what's going on right now in Bitcoin and in Mara is first the last Mara video. So yesterday's video and then the video I made solely about Mara stock. Previously, I did say that before I feel confident to say that there is weakness in the stock, at least in the short term. I want to see $20.50 hit. The top 1.618 extension is at $20.67, but I want to see 20.5 as a potential strong opportunity to sell for anyone that took advantage of lower prices, especially way back when I did a Mara video when we were back here, and I said when the price breaks into this Reddit, and this is all just my opinion. Um, it's all just my opinion, but I said every time we break into this red, it may be a good idea to potentially start looking at accumulating. Next thing you know, we went up higher. We hit the sell price very well, and then after hitting the sell price, there was enough opportunity within that hour to catch it before the price comes down. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this higher. I'm going to talk about Mara. I'm going to talk about Bitcoin, right? Because tomorrow the CPI report is very, very important. I am going to say this real quick. You guys already know if you've been watching for a little bit, for a bit. Every time we have high anticipation, very strong high anticipation for specific results in these headlines, in these very important reports that are scheduled to come out. When there's high anticipation, it factors, investors factor it into the price, and that's why we've been seeing Bitcoin go up a lot. We've also been seeing this happen, not just in Bitcoin and Mara. We've been seeing prices go up a lot across the market, basically, regardless of tariffs building up. So there's a lot of pressure on tariffs, and a lot of people don't see it because the price isn't reflecting that. There's a lot of optimism. So it's very, very important to understand that if this report comes in either in line or slightly worse or even slightly good, it has to come in, the CPI has to come in super low for the price to keep going higher, in my opinion, because it's all factored in. But the good thing about it is that while we are making progress in inflation, we're heading towards that 2%. So I'm gonna go over the Bitcoin. I'm gonna go over Bitcoin. It will give us a better context on what's going on, or what I'm trying to say. I'm gonna illustrate it for you guys, right? So Bitcoin maxed out this area. I kept saying, it's very important to keep an eye on the $122,000 area because it is the top of this extension. And even though I want to see the next one being hit, corrections are just very, very important. And if you guys have been watching for a while, you know how I feel about the 120 moving average on Bitcoin within the 1 hour candle time frames. I say this a lot where I like to see Bitcoin flirt around the 120 moving average as it attempts to fill retracements and as it intends to continue whatever trend it has, which right now it is a bullish trend, and it's a bullish trend overall. So basically, the point I'm trying to make is that we also, just like in Mara, Bitcoin topped out that extension area, great opportunity to start selling if you have short-term positions, my opinion. But I did not sell today because overall that BitU swing trade I just showed you guys, I've said this in many videos, The whole purpose of it is to capture the overall move higher within this bull market. And I strongly believe that the bull market is not over, because how can what's technically considered still a risk on asset be starting a bear market cycle when we have rate cuts just around the corner? Rate cuts, money flows into these assets so much, and on top of that, well, rate cuts just have to happen eventually, real soon, because at the end of the day, the U.S. government debt, if you guys keep track of that, it's consistently growing, and it's much more difficult for the U.S. to print more USD when interest rates are higher. So it's sort of digging itself deeper into a hole. But if it doesn't, it just gets worse somehow. It's money has to be printed, which means rates have to drop, making it much more easier for this to happen. And well, with the new tax bill, they're gonna have to print money to make up for other things. So there's a whole lot of reasons, and this is very very good if you are someone holding, in my opinion, if you're someone holding these kinds of assets. In my opinion, you will be rewarded. But we will see, right? We will see. But as of right now, Bitcoin is finally coming down. It's at the 120 moving average, and just like I said in previous videos, we can easily see the RSI bottom out very much as we get closer to that 120 moving average and potentially get closer to these right here. So it's very possible right now that what we're looking at is a simple retracement, a breather before the CPI report comes out, and this can actually be very good for example, in my opinion, short-term traders that are looking to capture quick pumps when the report comes out, because usually we see like a quick pump, and then if it's going to go down, it will come down super quick. But I like to see this happen because it will give me an opportunity to accumulate more BitU tomorrow after the CPI report, because if the CPI report comes out, regardless, the overall trend is down, trying to come into retracement. The overall aftermath after investors digest the information, I do believe that we're going to see a quick recovery afterwards. We're very much in an environment where everyone is anticipating a rate cut sooner than previously expected. And this report, we don't know how much tariffs have actually influenced inflation, so we're going to find out. But I do believe it's going to be a pretty good report. I don't know if it's going to blast expectations out of the water, but I do believe it's gonna be good. And any weakness and this is just what I'm doing, any weakness after the report, I will be accumulating more BitU. I'll continue to do so. You guys already know that my plan, because I've said this in many videos, is to accumulate within support. Wait, I gotta move this up. I gotta update it for the new high that was created there recently. So we're actually coming into that retracement that we haven't filled just yet, and then we have the opportunity to come into the red one as well. This will allow those imbalances to be filled. So I'm gonna be super clear about this. Like if the market was open right now, I'll start buying because we just hit the retracement. But I gotta wait for US market open so I can buy some BitU. But basically, tomorrow, when if Bitcoin is within these areas, within 107.8 and 117.7K, if it's anywhere within that tomorrow, I will continue to accumulate BitU and build up that position with the overall view being much higher. And it's just super clear to me that it's a good idea to accumulate. And then we also have the ascending support line to keep an eye on as well, overlapping with that red area down here. So I'm not falling. This isn't FOMO. This isn't me being biased on anything, but it's Bitcoin just looks super attractive right now. It finally hit this green area, which means bullish momentum is very, very strong. We've seen extensions get hit, not reaching the next level, but getting hit. Usually they tend to break below the bottom line briefly before it has another test higher. And we've seen this happen so many times in other extensions. It happens so often, and we're still in this bull market. And regardless of what the CPI report says, there's going to be a lot of pressure for the Fed to cut rates either way, and at the end of the day, they start cutting rates, and, rather not, right? We start seeing tariff negotiations happen. We start seeing that soften. It's all just a negotiation scheme. Just in my opinion, at the end of the day. So Bitcoin is very simple. I'm looking for much higher prices, but I'm looking for short term weakness to accumulate, regardless of the what the CPI report says. As long as the price comes into these support bias signals for me, I'll be accumulating. Now with Mara, so Mara hit the sell area starting at $20.5 that I've been talking about recently, right? Hit it. Now what I'm looking at is a retracement, right? I want to see, regardless, if Bitcoin begins to fall, whatever the CPI says, Bitcoin falls regardless. It doesn't matter, and it can influence Mara in a different way because this is a company and it has a lot of factors in it that Bitcoin doesn't. But now what I'm looking for Mara is a continuation of this trend. Now, ideally, the support line will break, will come down, potentially fill this imbalance. But regardless, I'm looking for the price to hold 16.5 at that moment, as it, even if it trends down lower, the 120 moving average is all the way down here, just like in Bitcoin. And I've said this many times in Mara, I'm looking for the price to flirt around the 120 moving average, especially on the 1 hour candle time frames. So regardless, just because we hit the sell area, we have that. Now I'm looking for higher prices. This is the next area that I said I was going to give you guys an update on to make things more clear. This area is just factoring in the overall swings from the bottom, and this whole move we have here gave me this fib extension, and this fib extension overlaps with, we already filled these imbalances. I said, it can very much happen real soon. We can briefly hit these imbalances. They're filled. These are no longer relevant because they happened. And now I'm looking for the next ones to be hit. And this overlaps very, very well with this area right here. And I'm not going to, but even if I draw a retrace, and you know what, I will, because why not? But even if I draw a whole retracement, right, we can see that the price hasn't actually maxed it out, and it's roughly at $22.50. And we have that opportunity for Mara to still go up higher and, enter this gap right here, this medium level, which it hasn't. But in order for that to happen, we just got to balance the price out. We got to let the price do its thing, let the bulls pick up more steam after the bears are completed right here. I don't think it will take very long. But at the end of the day, regardless, not worrying about time, not worrying about what if. I believe that Mara, and this is just my own opinion, I could be wrong, but I believe it's a good idea to begin accumulating within this retracement area. So between 16.5, and it can come all the way down to, so even if anyone starts accumulating here, keep in mind the price can still fall. It can come all the way down, ideally hold above 16.5. Even if it breaks below it, I don't want to see two hourly candles below it, mostly the body being within or above $16.5. So I believe the red is a really good accumulation area, with again the next overall sell being $22.5. But of course, the moment the price re-enters these areas, so at $20 and above, we can start seeing volume weaken. We can start seeing higher risk. So at this moment, it's important to begin to slowly shave out of the position as we go up higher to that $22.50 area. But regardless, I believe it has a little bit more room to come down before it makes sense to accumulate. Keeping an eye on the 120 moving average. This will also allow the RSI to come down and bottom out on the hourly chart. And then eyes being higher. And remember, even if we do bottom out here and we go up higher, there's gonna be a lot of fluctuations within it. So you gotta be super understanding of what you're looking for, in my opinion. However you guys want to trade, understanding smaller picture imbalances, understanding smaller picture fib levels, and how micro price action can indicate any potential weakness. So there's a lot to look at, but the overall area I'm looking at is $22.50, with accumulation being close to that $16.5 $1 level. So yeah, hopefully this video made sense, guys. Super excited for that CPI report tomorrow. Regardless if it's good or bad, I'm just super excited to see, what the numbers are. And then of course, I'll be keeping an eye, especially on Bitcoin for the most part, because I want to accumulate some more BitU. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.